7 o'clock, so I'm going to get the meeting started. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Bethel Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, July 7th, 2020. And if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Paul, do you have your flag? Great, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business is consideration of the meeting minutes of June 16th. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, we approve it.
Okay, Paul? I'll second. Any corrections, any comments? And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand so
Aye.
I can see you. Okay, Rich, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can, but I'm going to abstain because I didn't look at them.
Oh, okay, all right. So 2 yeas, 1 abstention. Great, thank you. Moving on to item number 3, first Selectmen's report. Just a couple things to bring up to date tonight. You're probably aware, but just to discuss it briefly, and I discussed it in our Tuesday morning conference call with the Chamber of Commerce today. The governor, due to the things that are happening with the coronavirus in other states that had tried to reopen on a much more aggressive timetable than the state of Connecticut did, the governor has pushed off the start of phase 3 of the so-called reopening of the state. That was scheduled to begin on July 20th. It's coming up in a couple weeks. That has been pushed off. The word is indefinitely. We don't know what that means. Maybe another month beyond that, but they're going to let the numbers settle down and make sure that we're not pushing the ball down the court too fast on that. Regarding the coronavirus, Connecticut and most of the New England states, but especially Connecticut, continue to lead the country in fighting the virus. If you take a look at today's newspaper, today's News Times, the city of Danbury, which was 2.5–3 months ago, was a coronavirus hotspot in Western Connecticut, has not had a single new case in 3 days. So as frustrating as it is to go through this slow reopening, gradually opening things up, and people want to get back to normal, whatever normal is these days, the approach, the slow conservative approach is working. It is reopening the economy. This pushing off the start of phase 3 really affects bars more than anything else. Phase 3 was also designed to increase the seating capacity inside restaurants. It doesn't change outdoor restaurants at all. Those are functioning as those are open to the public right now. But phase 3 was going to increase the amount of people that could eat indoors. It would also increase the capacity inside gyms, gymnasiums, and fitness and workout centers. So that is going to be postponed until they just have a better handle on seeing the numbers go down. If things continue to improve the way they have, even with the reopenings that we have on the books, then I do expect that delay would probably not cross any later than August 1st. For the time being, Town Hall is still on a by appointment schedule. That seems to be working out very well. We've had a few unhappy taxpayers who came and wanted to get an appointment, tried to get one, just tried to walk in and get it on the spot. And the offices will accommodate people as best they can. The only one that is not able to accommodate people on demand is the tax office when people want to come and pay cash. They are asking people to use the online services or US mail or the Dropbox. And that there've been a handful of people who were very upset about that. And Ann Skako, who is very good with customers, has reached out to them to try to explain to them as best she can when they might be able to come back in. But just encouraging them to use the Dropbox, and then we will drop the receipts in the mail to them. Last thing I wanted to cover is I did send this out to the selectmen a little bit earlier this afternoon. This is the ratings report for the town of Bethel, which has some very good news. I noticed that this afternoon it was already in the News Times online. But we had a conference call with two analysts from Standard & Poor's Global Ratings Agency 2 weeks ago. And on July 2nd, they issued their report that reaffirmed Bethel's AAA rating with stable outlook, which is the highest you can get. Also gave us a rating of SP1 plus on short-term notes, which is also the highest rating you can get, and noted several very positive things about Bethel's management of budgetary issues, the liquidity, the fund balance, the way we have approached the budget in recent years. So once again, Bethel is in rare company when it comes to the state of Connecticut in terms of its bond rating and our financial position. They did note that they have some concerns. This doesn't apply just to Bethel, it applies to every town in Connecticut about the possibility of long-term downturns due to the coronavirus, and also the possibility that the state could come back and try to whack the smaller towns with more pushing more state costs downstream, as they have for the last few years. There are a number of things that the state doesn't fund anymore, even though we continue to do it, such as the elderly tax abatement program that the state used to, they still have it on the books, we still run it, but the state doesn't pay their share anymore. That's an additional $114,000 per year that we have to pick up, Bethel taxpayers have to pick up and fold into our local program. But they did say that if those things occur, if there's a downturn, if the state continues to run into financial trouble and pushes more costs down to the local level, Bethel is extremely well positioned to handle it, and we've demonstrated the management ability to adjust budgets as necessary to stay in line with revenues, and the outlook is very, very positive. So this ratings review was done to allow us to sell bonds, both a 20-year long-term bond for the first phase of school construction, and in the amount of $20 million, and then also a $20 million bond anticipation note, a short-term note, to allow the construction to continue to its completion. And when that's done, that second ban will be rolled into a longer-term bond. But the ratings that we got will save the taxpayers several $1 million over the life of the projects, over the life of those bonds. So congratulations to my colleagues, to our colleagues on the Board of Finance, both current and past, because the strategies that have been put in place are paying off, and it's helping the taxpayers. So that's all I had tonight. Rich and Paul, did you have anything you wanted to add or questions?
Yeah, I just, Matt, do you have a update on the school construction?
I do not, but Nancy, the chair, is scheduled to give us an update. You know, she's required under the ordinance to give regular updates. So she's probably going to be on, well, I shouldn't say probably, she will be on the next agenda in 2 weeks to give us a full report on the construction. I do know that the budgets are holding. One of the two schools is slightly over budget. The other one is more under budget. So the project together is under budget and within parameters. They've also, because school was shut down for the year early, then the kids couldn't complete their school year. The buildings were turned over to Rizzo Construction to, you know, they didn't have to worry about moving kids around, so they're able to speed up some of the schedules. So we'll get a better idea of where that stands at the next meeting.
No, the reason why I'm asking is because of this COVID-19 virus and the necessary spacing that's being required. I was wondering, has there been any consideration about those portables with Dr. Carver? Are we going to keep those portables, or you know, that's sort of a big question mark in the back of my mind, at least.
Yes, it is. Dr. Carver probably thought she was going to have some time for a summer vacation this year, but that got dashed by COVID. She and her administrative team have until, I think it's July 24th, to answer that question, to put together a plan on how they're going to phase school opening and how they're going to handle the kids. Rich, you had your hand up?
Yeah, well, they're in the process of being disconnected and they're going to be getting rid of them.
Oh, they are, okay.
Okay,
Because
then my other question is police station and the legal aspect of it. Have we started the proceedings already?
Yes, we have.
Marty, I don't know, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, yeah, I'll let Marty answer so I don't go too far. Oh,
You're muted.
You're muted.
As far as I know, what's happened is, as you know, we hired outside counsel, the same counsel that we used for the high school project, the electrical issues. And I don't want to say too much because we may be going into litigation. I don't know at this point, but he's working on it. Every report that we have gotten, I've passed on to him, and we're trying to decide, how can I put this? I think what the issue is, are we going to go with the reports that we have, or are we going to get our own reports? That's really what it comes down to right now.
Okay, so
I don't want to say too much, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, there could be a time where it turns to a litigation issue.
Okay,
And
Rich?
Matt, the other thing that I do is maybe later on in the meeting, I'd like to add 2 more items to the agenda.
Okay, you want to wait till we get down to make that motion, or you want to do it now?
I'll do it now, yeah. One will be, this is establishing of ordinances, okay? One is going to be talk about a fire commission.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite subject, okay? And the other one sort of ties in with today's meeting also about union contracts, beginning negotiations. When?
Well, let me answer the first one because that's union contracts are negotiated almost every year. We have 4 unions that we deal with at the town hall on the town side of the operation. Board of Ed has 7, but with the 4 that we do business with, they each have on average a 3-year lifespan, and we have them staggered so that we're negotiating at least one contract every year.
Well,
in one year we're having 2.
My point is, it seems that we're always about 1 year behind in the 8 ball. And what I'd like to see by way of ordinance to begin at least 6 months before the expiration of a contract that negotiations begin. But I understand right now your contracts are cast in concrete right now. But I want to say future contracts, okay, that 6 months before the contract expires, we should be in a negotiation stage such that I'd like to avoid back payments.
Well, okay, we can talk about that. The fact is that state law under MIRA, under the Municipal Employee Relations Act, already requires notification to occur 6 months before the end of a contract, and in every case, those talks do begin. You're asking the answer is pretty complicated. On the Board of Ed side, state law specifies exactly what the timetable is. So contract negotiations will start 6 months before the end of the contract. If they have no resolution within the first 30 days, then they go immediately to mediation by law. There's no discussion about it. They go another 30 days, they go immediately to arbitration. And there's no flexibility. Now, with all other contracts, there's a wide open calendar, and what happens is sometimes the unions themselves will drag out the negotiations for the purpose of trying to hoping that, for any number of reasons, hoping.
I know. Well, the classic example was just recently the police station, the police rather.
You mean the police contract?
We're
Yeah.
well over a year behind that one.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to avoid these things and just put the onus on them that they've got to negotiate in good faith. And I personally, I don't think it was negotiated in good faith. They just dragged their feet.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I think I'd like to schedule a time in our next agenda to have our labor attorney come in and have an executive session about that, so we can talk about I'll defer to Marty as to whether or not that would be appropriate as an executive session or open session, but to have a discussion about that, so you and Rich can get the parameters on how those things work and how much we can do, because that's passing an ordinance that requires that, from what I know about state labor law, is pretty difficult, because the state labor law is going to overrule anything we do at the local level. There could be some things that we could do, though. There could be some possibility of setting ground rules in the future.
No, that's essentially what I'm looking for. And as I said, I used the last police contract as an example.
Yeah.
It just dragged on, yep, needlessly.
Well, it takes two to tango, as they say. So
well,
yeah.
I know, but when one partner does not want to tango,
yeah,
and sits out the dance floor, you're out of luck.
I hear you. Rich, did you have more comments on that?
Yeah, I have a comment. Marty, are you aware that Downs came back to the building committee and had a proposal how to solve that problem?
Yes, I read the report and I passed it on.
Okay, all right.
I saw that report. It still doesn't answer a couple fundamental questions.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that the building committee knows that they shouldn't be doing anything until it's cleared by the Board of Selectmen or the attorneys.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from my colleagues before we move on?
No, just then we'll settle on that one, the one ordinance as far as fire commission.
Okay. All right. I'll add that to the end, and then we'll vote on adding it formally so it's on the record. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Matt, I got one quick question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, who's responsible for policing restaurants for not serving people at the bar? Is that Laura's?
Yeah, health department. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I heard some rumors that a few bars are stretching the limits.
The state has a call-in number. You can dial 211 to report any non-compliance issues. The governor has issued executive orders that make the health department responsible for restaurants, bars, things of that nature. And then, ironically, one of his executive orders made the first selectman or mayor responsible for policing anything else. So, they did get some pushback on that. So they added in the next executive order the first selectman or designee. So I can make somebody else go out and be the bad guy. But if there are non-compliance issues out there, citizens can call 211. They can report it. The state will report it back to Laura, and Laura has been very good about, she hasn't had to go in and be really tough with people. She's explained to them where there's been non-compliance that they're actually losing business. And I know that this is true because I've had people call me at my office and say, such and such a deli, I walked in the other day and nobody was wearing a mask behind the counter, and there were customers there with not wearing masks. So I turned around and walked away. So this is something that Janice and I have been talking to the Chamber of Commerce about in our weekly phone calls to try to get them to, to really try to, it's really, unfortunately, it's really up to the businesses to police their customers to whatever extent they can. And I know that puts them in an awful position to say to a customer, hey, you got to wear a mask or I have to ask you to leave. They're very reluctant to do that. But if they don't do it, it also costs them business. But we will provide assistance, and we will help them. We've delivered masks and face shields, the clear face shields, to some of the folks who are unable to wear masks, just to try to help out our local businesses and keep them afloat. So, all right, anything else, Richard Ball?
No.
Okay, moving on, public comments. Are there anybody online tonight that would like to make any comments? And hearing none, I'll move on. Correspondence. Dion already told me that there was no late breaking correspondence, so I'm going to go to item number 6, consideration of approval for capital non-recurring purchases. And we have with us tonight Dean from Connecticut Combustion, and it says Karen, but it's actually Bob Dibble who's here. And now there's only one thing that we had that you were provided backup on, because I forgot to put the other one in. There's a truck purchase that we have to get approval for, a patch truck. I'm going to let Bob speak to that, and that documentation is in your packet. The one that is not in your packet is we have to remove an oil tank, and that's why Dean is on the line with us in tonight's meeting. Hey, Bob Kozlowski, what's the cost on that? What's the final cost on that tank that we need to have approved tonight? Is it? You're muted.
There we go. What is it? 23,450, I believe. Let me just pull it out. We already abated the oil tank. This is to take care of the rest of the project, which includes the oil tank and hooking. It's 23,540. So the original amount was 48,340. To abate the oil tank was 24,800, and all the associated work with it, the startup costs on it, and then the remaining project is 23,540 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a list of items: concrete work, tank delivery, installation, fencing installation, and finish items. So
Is this for the high school or for the municipal center?
Municipal center.
And the tank removal was the old tank that at the municipal center you're talking about also, correct?
That's right. It was abated. Connecticut Combustion took care of that. They abated the tank. They filled it and put a slurry on top. And that was done back in the fall.
What size
tank is this?
What's that?
What size tank is this?
10,000 gallons.
Okay.
So there's a sense of urgency on this, because this has to come out of the ground pretty quickly. Is that right, Bob?
No. This tank is staying in the ground. It's being abated in place.
Oh,
It's been
abated in place. Okay.
abated already. Correct, Dean? Everything's all set with the state? Mhm.
Yes. Yes, the remaining part would be for the new tank, so that the municipal center can function on oil if necessary.
Okay, that's right. I had the wrong sheet.
Is this going to be above ground or below ground tank?
This would be a double wall above ground containment tank. And because of the proximity to the municipal center, it has to be made to look nice. So there's a certain amount of fencing that has to go around it. We're going to try to make it look like a hedge and hide it.
Where is it going to be installed?
The plan is for it to be installed sort of adjacent to the entrance to the boiler room. There's sort of a courtyard where the generator is at the municipal center, and it's in that area, but it's closer to the building.
Okay.
If you look at the two entrances from that point, it would be to the entrance on the left.
All right.
Okay, I got a question, Dean. Is there any foreseeable future that we're going to get rid of the oil at the municipal center, or are we always going to keep an oil burner?
Well, I think that we may be talking about this tonight. It might be my fault because this project was to be done in two phases. when everything happened with coronavirus and the town hall was shut down for a while, I reached out to the facilities department and I said, you know, if you guys want to hold off on this aspect of it, you know, it's completely up to you. Bethel has been great to me, so I was just trying to, you know, things are a little different functioning. So, but the thinking, even though the municipal center for the last few years has burned almost exclusively natural gas, because of the use and nature of the building, it's an emergency shelter.
Hello?
You froze, Dean.
If anything wrong either.
You
So
froze for a couple seconds. I think we lost like part of that last sentence.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. You do have equipment at the municipal center that's capable of burning both gas and oil. So if an emergency ever came up and gas was interrupted for any reason, the intention is to keep a small oil supply on hand there. The tank could always be used for a diesel generator if necessary. It's never a bad thing to have a small fuel tank like that. So, but certainly, you know, I think with all the other things that you may have been facing, this might be an option that if you wanted to put it off, I think you certainly could if money was needed somewhere else. That's kind of why I brought it up. So.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, but I was just concerned about the age of the existing boiler and the condition of the existing oil-fired boiler.
Okay, that's a good question. The oil-fired boiler that's down there is relatively new. It was replaced, I apologize for my memory here. I want to say within 3 or 4 years, the combination boiler that's down there. So,
okay,
not very old.
Dean, may I ask you a question since you're the expert in the area? Do you recommend that since we have an abundance of oil in the town, to utilize that particular burner to use up the oil that we do have? I keep on asking because we have one of our schools where we have a fair amount of oil left over, and it's strictly a gas place. There's oil sitting there, and I just want to use it up.
Well,
can that be done, say, perhaps in the months of when it's not as cold?
sure. You know, I really think it becomes more of a question of economics than anything else. There's some oil people that will tell you, well, if the oil's in there, you got to burn it because if it's hanging around, it's going to go bad.
Right.
I've been at this for an awfully long time, and I sort of have yet to see that happen with any amount of concrete truth.
Okay.
I don't sell oil, so I don't really have a horse in that.
I understand it, but is it an easy conversion to switch over from gas to oil?
It's the flick of a switch.
Oh, fine. I'll push it.
yeah.
All right.
Actually going back to before we abated the tank, we did use, I want to say maybe 1,500 to 2,000 gallons that was in the municipal tank. And it was just like Dean said, Benny just had to turn it from one side to the other. And then when the weekend came, because he didn't want it to be running on oil while no one was around, they switched it back to gas. And then come Monday morning, they put the oil on and used as much as they could.
Well, Bob, it's been my favorite subject, one of my many.
Yep.
I just want to get rid of that oil that's sitting up on the school complex.
Yeah, we got about 10,000 gallons or so.
Yep.
Yeah,
Rich?
I concur with you, Paul. We got to get it used up.
We have to get a what?
So we have to get it used up because those other tanks will have to be coming out of the ground over at the school complex in the near future.
Yeah.
Matt, can I just
Yes.
for the record, Bob Kozlowski, the monies that we're using for this is part of the monies that were in the capital account already?
Yes,
Correct.
it is.
Already been approved. Okay. That was it. And my other question was for Dean, because I didn't catch this. how big is the replacement tank gonna be?
It's much smaller by comparison. I knew somebody was going to ask me that, so I was just trying to refer to the proposal offline here, but it's about 500 gallons.
Okay,
So not very large. It's really meant to be an emergency type, use tank.
All right.
Yep.
I thought you had said that was a 10,000 that you.
No, 10,000's in
No,
the
that's
ground.
what's
That's a
taken out.
10,000 gallon tank. That was abated.
That was the one that was out,
Mm-hmm.
abated. Go ahead, Rich.
Frozen.
Rich, can you hear us okay? You froze.
Yeah. I was wondering, should it be a 1,000 gallon tank versus a 500 gallon tank?
Well, it could always be changed. Nothing has been ordered as of yet. It's just, this was we sort of gave some assistance to Bethel with this design. And that was the consensus, was to keep the tank fairly
Oh, Dean, you froze again.
small, but it could always be changed.
Well, gentlemen, what's your pleasure? I can put a motion on the floor to approve this. This, by the way, these are in the capital plan. They're in the capital non-recurring budget. It still has to go to Board of Finance next week, and then, just for their approval. No town meeting required for it, though. But you want to proceed with this? Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
I'd make a motion that we enlarge the tank to at least a 1,000 gallon tank versus the 500 gallon tank.
Okay. Paul, do you want to second that?
No. Yeah, I'll second for discussion.
All right. Okay.
Let me just throw this, we have to keep some appearance around the building itself. 500, I think 500 gallons probably could carry, and maybe Dean can answer this question, the size of that building probably at 4 or 5 days, correct?
I was going to say in cold weather, maybe a little less, maybe around 3 to 4 days.
Fine.
If
Yeah.
things are running full tilt.
Yeah, and oil trucks are available.
A 500
Stick with the appearance. I just don't want too much. You got that big generator out there in the back, and now you're going to put an oil tank back there.
Mhm.
You're going to mask it, but keep it small.
Okay. Rich, did you have any?
Dean, this is by the staircase going down into the boiler room, right?
Yes, when you walk up that sidewalk there, there's also an air conditioning unit in that area that's currently exposed. So the fence would hide that as well, but it's right in that area.
Yeah.
Where that central AC unit is.
Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
A basic 500 gallon tank is 4 foot by maybe 6 foot. A basic 1,000 gallon tank, this is without the double wall business, but a 1,000 gallon tank is 4 foot by 10 foot, basically.
Well, that's true. With these
whatever you
manufacturers,
wanna do.
you can custom order the tank. So if we wanted to keep the height down and increase the length or the width, we could do that. But these things all get into the cost as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. I got a 1,000 gallon tank at my own personal house.
Okay. All right.
If I could make a suggestion,
Sure.
maybe the thing to do, and it certainly isn't my place, but maybe what you want to consider doing is go ahead with the design that you got and consider the option for the larger tank in terms of also the increased price, and maybe make a decision on that a little bit later. But certainly we could take a pause before ordering. I don't know if you have to commit to this, so quickly with the funding or whatever with your process, but if you did, you can commit to the design that you've already got and then bump it up with a small change order to come if you want.
Well, Well, Dean, you said that this is not urgent, correct? Did I hear that? Okay. Hey, Rich, what do you say we table it and get a quote on 1,000 gallon and get an idea of what it looks like and its size, and then make a decision? What do you think of that? Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I'll make a motion to amend the main motion to table.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Very good. Thanks for joining us, Dean. Sorry, as this was not as productive with your time as usual, but this is
No, that's fine. Believe me, Bethel's keeping me very busy. So anytime. I
Okay,
appreciate
great.
it very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
I see- Great. Have a good night, Dean.
Bye-bye.
John Shea has joined us because we have speaking of contracts, Paul, we have a contract on the docket. But before we get there, I want to go ahead and have Bob Dibble. Bob, are you still here?
Yeah.
The other capital non-recurring item we have is it's a lowboy pickup truck that's going to be custom modified to be a patch truck. And Bob, if you could give the guys an idea of what your plan is, because this is an expensive little thing, but it saves us an awful lot of money from buying one off the shelf that is made for this. This is a Dibble design special.
Yeah, kind of. What I did, I submitted a letter of which was a letter of intent to purchase the chassis itself. Ford's cutoff this year for ordering is July 10th. So what that means is, for 2020 truck, that's my cutoff date to order. Then what they do is they won't accept orders. They don't really set a date for when they start accepting orders, and it could be a month, it could be a month and a half, something like that. Number one. So that right now, if I order the chassis right now, tonight, today, tomorrow, whatever, there's probably about 12 to 14 weeks before I actually see the chassis from Ford. And so we could, potentially add another, a month or so on that. And on top of that, a potential price increase. And generally they do a price increase, on year to year. I don't know what that is. The sales, the state bid sales rep from Gingras Ford, he didn't know what it was either. He said it could be as small as $500, and he said it could be as much as a couple $1,000. So, like I said, I submitted a letter of intent to purchase, which would need approval from the Board of Selectmen, and that would allow me to send our state DAS rep at Gingras Ford. He would be able to place that order for that chassis, tomorrow if it's approved. So.
Okay. That's a state bid price, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you need tonight? Just the body, the $43,990?
Yeah, I'd like if we could get the chassis, if we get the purchase price of the chassis done, and then the the cost to build the body for the truck also. So let me just go through that, as quickly as I can with you. What the truck is going to be used for is for hot patch and cold patch during the winter, especially cold patch during the winter time. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a subfloor underneath the floor of the body, and we're going to route the exhaust gases through the body, which will keep the floor of the body heated. During the winter time, we take our cold patch, which is stored outdoors, and our sand salt bin in the corner. We put that material in the back of the truck when we go right before we go home, and we take off in the morning with it to take care of powers. If it's 20 degrees out, that cold patch gets frozen solid pretty quickly. Even though it does have an RS1 mix in it, a cutback mix in it, it does get frozen up, and it's pretty difficult to work with. And cold patch has gotten expensive. We're paying, $118, $120 a ton average each year for a ton of cold patch. So it's expensive. During the summertime, we leave the asphalt plant, I can extend that load, the life of that load in the back of that truck quite a bit, to take care of some larger work and smaller work as we're moving along with the heated body. The heated body, we're going to install a gas, 460 cubic inch gas engine in it, which Ford just came out with last year. And the reason for that is my exhaust temperatures will be down 525, 550 degrees. That's climbing the hill with the load in the truck. The problem with the diesel engines is they regen themselves, and they'll run an exhaust temperature up around 1500 degrees, and that would cause that would warp that body and damage it pretty quickly. So the truck will also include a Everest snowplow frame, a new Everest snowplow, A Muncie hydraulic system will be installed on the truck, and that includes a tank, like picture like a 2-foot square stainless steel box that's on the side of the truck on the frame. That's your hydraulic tank. On top of that box will be all the hydraulic controls, and then and they'll be routed inside the cab to run the body up and down, raise the plow, spin rotate the plow, so on and so forth. So, one of the things you might be asking yourselves, boy, this sounds like it's an awful lot of money. A lot of towns, what they're doing is they're buying a thing called a hot box, and they slide it into the back of the lowboy. So it looks like an old school sander that slides into the back of the truck, and what it has on it is like an oil burner off your furnace you'd see in your house, and it's insulated. And you fire the oil burner up, and it heats the box up, and then you dump your material into this hopper, which in turn has a feed belt on it and feeds the back. So there's a lot of parts. Number one, there's a lot of parts that are on this that can break. Okay, and number two, those hot boxes are good for about, everybody I've talked to said 10 years or so, and you start having a lot of problems with them. Now the cost of that hot box is between $30,000 and $35,000. Now the body for the truck itself, which I'll have use of besides just for cold patch, again, once you slide that hot box back in that truck, it's a few hours to get the thing hooked up and ready to go, and same thing taking it back out. This thing here, I'll have complete use of that body, whether it's for hot patch, cold patch, dirt, whatever, topsoil, so on and so forth. Now the body to build that body itself is going to cost us probably around $15,000. So we're about half of that cost of buying that hot box. And obviously the body we built out of stainless steel, so I'll get a lot more life than the 20 years or so that I'll get out of a slide-in unit. So did I confuse everybody?
Okay.
I think that's pretty much the gist of it, right?
All right. Paul and Rich, you guys have questions?
No.
The custom work, is that all stainless steel?
Yes.
No. And what's the life of it? Do you want to estimate, Bob?
Oh, I bet you that body could go on another chassis after this one. Because think about it, it's going to be used for hot patch, cold patch. We don't really, our big trucks, we haul a lot of heavy dirt and rocks and stuff around it. The low boys don't do a lot of that stuff, right? So one of the things that doesn't happen to them is the bodies don't get beat up on the floor. And then if it's built, when we make the thing out of stainless steel, that'll cause it to, for the most part, rust before it's not going to rot out.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be just another an addition to the fleet, right? This is not replacing anything.
No, it's going to replace my current cold patch truck or patch truck, which is a 2000 Ford F550, and the body's within a couple of good bumps on the road of falling off the back of the truck. So
you have space for it in the garage to store it?
Absolutely, because it's going to replace a current truck.
All right.
Yep, Rich, go ahead.
I'll make a motion. We approve the truck, and I would include, if it's all right with Bobby, include the money for the body now, and then you don't have to go back to it.
I'll second it.
Okay, so Bob, what's that total amount?
The truck chassis was $37,500,
Okay,
and the body was it was like 47. It was 46 and 900 and something. So if you go 38 and 47, that's where I am.
Bob Dibble, the backup you gave me the other day said the body was 44,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. You know what? I don't have that number in front of me. How much was it?
The patch part was 44,000.
44. Okay.
It's a total of 81,500.
Yep.
Right.
It's an expensive lowboy, isn't it?
No, not necessarily.
all
The
right.
next one will have an all-season body on it. It'll probably be about 110,000, maybe a little bit more.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so Rich, is that your motion to approve both elements at the
Yes.
same time? Okay,
Yes.
so your
Is it-
motion would then read to approve a total of 81,500?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Marty, do we need to do a formal bid waiver on that too? It's two pieces, but
Are they both through the state?
Yes.
Both of them?
Well, the
No.
body, no, the truck part does, not the body, not the.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do a bid waiver.
Okay.
And I had a question too. And I know you're in a motion, but I see that the truck itself is coming from Gengrass.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Okay, and that's through the state, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the body work is coming from who? Because all I've got is an email here and it doesn't say who the supplier is.
There'll be Nor'easter.
Nor'easter?
Yeah, Nor'easter, yeah. Nor'easter.
Yeah, from this Kim Pelletier.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to waive the bidding process for that.
So the truck, that part is less than 50,000 though.
The chassis is correct. Both parts
And
are
the
less.
truck was state, and the truck was state bid, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
the truck. part
Yeah,
is
the
less.
truck was state bid, yeah.
All right, well, we'll do them individually then.
Okay. All right, so the truck is 38,000.
I'll,
Oh, go ahead, Rich, I'm sorry.
well, I was gonna make the motion to buy the Ford chassis for the $37,480.70 as the bid waiver, state bid price.
And
Okay.
I think that state DS bid number, and the quote number is also on that intent to purchase letter I dropped off you.
Yeah, I've got it.
I'm sorry, was the total $37,480.70? Is that what you said? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
And this is for
That's-
the Ford, this is for the chassis?
yeah.
Okay, so are we rescinding the other motion?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. Okay, did you second that, Paul?
Second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve purchase of the Ford chassis and truck frame in the amount of $37,480.70, consistent with the state bid. Any further discussion? And hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Now, Bob Dibble, do you need to have us approve the box tonight, or do you,
No, you don't have to. I mean, the only thing I'm after is that intent to purchase letter, so I can submit that into
Okay,
Ingers Ford, and I can then the load of the truck for me.
okay. Guys, I would
I mean,
suggest
you've
we hold
approved it.
off on that just in case there's, any
Yeah.
price fluctuations or anything, so we don't get boxed in and have to, no pun intended, have to redo it anyway.
all right.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea to actually have the motion done up in advance.
Yeah,
We're gonna be,
yeah, and we should have more documentation and the vendor and all that stuff too. So, all right. So Bob, I'll get Bob Dibble, I'll get the letter of intent out for you tomorrow.
Cool, all right. Yeah.
So we can proceed with that. Okay, thank you very much. Now, if it's okay with you guys, I want to, we've got two items in the middle here, but I'd like to go ahead and start the executive session. And we have two items on here, two contracts. The first one is the ratification of the Highway Workers Union collective bargaining agreement. If that's all right with you, we'll skip ahead to item number 9. Any objections, Rich and Paul?
No objections.
No.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we go into executive session at 7:49. All right, so we're back in open session. Was there anybody in the waiting room? I saw Fred Ingram was in there for a while. All right, well, I'll put a motion on the floor first to ratify the tentative agreement. Hold on a second here. What's that number? I'm going to ratify the tentative agreement with local 1303-188, council number 4 of AFSCME, the DPW labor union. for the term commencing, I think it's July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion or questions?
Will you repeat those dates, Matt? July 19?
July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
Okay.
Those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
That carries. Okay, second is I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement between Town of Bethel and Municipal Tax Services LLC for professional services, subject to town approval and review and approval by Town Attorney Lawler. Is there a second? Okay, seconded by Rich. You guys hand up first. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That carries. Okay, thank you very much. So we dispensed with those two items. I'm going to go back to the easier one. We have a bid. Brad HEERING put the old pumper, the E1 Cyclone, out for through the public sector auction that we use. And we have a bid from the Long Ridge Fire Company Incorporated from Stamford, Connecticut, to sell the pumper to them. It's a 1997 E1 for $7,000. So I'll put a motion on the floor that we approve that sale. All right, Rich seconded. Okay, floor is open for discussion. And Paul, I can tell you're anxious to say something.
Absolutely. You know, when I read that the city of Stamford is buying a 1997 pumper, I'm asking, what's wrong with it? If they can use it, why couldn't we? You know, I think we're at the point, and that's the reason why I want to talk later on about a fire commission. Unfortunately, you know, the fastest history, this truck has got to be, I don't know, sold or done, whatever. I'm going to vote against it just on principle. You know, money does not grow on trees. I used to tell that to my kids, and apparently some of our departments must think that money must grow on trees here. If the city of Stamford can buy this and use it even, why can't we? Of course, it's water beyond the bridge already here. You know, if we would have to spend, say, $200,000 to fix that thing, I would have spent it if we had kept it going for about another 3, 4, 5 years. I drive a 1998 Dodge Durango, and it runs like a clock. Now, I understand that, you know, that's the number of hours. If it requires just replacing a few parts, I think we got to get over this idea, oh, it's 20 years old, we have to replace it. What's wrong with it? And I'll tell you, and I think the existing group that analyzed the aerial ladder did a fantastic job. This is another case, I think, frankly, here. I just don't see it. Merely because we get a request for one, should we just approve it automatically? I think we've got to have somebody coming outside of the fire departments and examine these vehicles. It's just not a carte blanche type thing. So that's my opinion here tonight.
Okay. Brad, do you have any other information on that? Is Stamford buying this for parts or anything?
I don't know if they're buying it for parts, but I know that their entire fleet, they said, was these E1s. So I know it was in line with what they're using. So that could have been a factor of it too. I know they sent a mechanic up to look at it. So I don't know if their plan is to put it in service or use it as a spare. So.
Okay. Well, your points are well taken, Paul.
I'm looking at this. Are you sure it's the city of Stamford's fire department? I mean, to me, it looks like it's another department.
Yeah, it is. It's an independent department. It's
That's what I
not
thought.
The city of. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's Long Ridge.
Right.
In Stamford.
And just, can I ask a question of, you advertise this in the paper like what we've done before, Brad, like you did before?
I believe so. I know it was on the town website. The purchasing agent is the one that handled putting it up to bid.
Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Did-
So
Like we
get
did
any
in the past. There's a website you can go to that advertises all our stuff.
yes. And
We
when
already approved all that. Yeah.
Long
Okay.
Ridge contacted us. It was at 1,500 on the website with 5 days to go. It did hit 2,500 by the time that we pulled it 2 or 3 days later. So we don't know if it would have gone higher, but we took it and kept it in state was kind of our thinking and let somebody
Okay.
use it.
All right. Any further comments? Okay, so I'll try your minds. We have a motion on the floor to accept the bid for 7,000. Those in favor? Rich? Okay. Those opposed?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes 2-1. And thank you very much. And Paul, just let me say I'm anxious to have that conversation too. Okay, the last item before we go to Paul's item is consideration of bid waiver and contract with Voice over IP. You have some data. Brad, if you want to just make a couple of comments on this. This is a renewal of the contract for our communication system used by the town and the schools. Is that correct?
Well, it's not technically a renewal. We've been using the same service for the last 4 or 5 years. Digital Back Office approached us probably 6 months ago now because of the amount of business they were doing with Broadview, which now is Windstream. They became like an authorized rep. So now they can sell it directly at a slightly lower price. So what this new contract will do for us, it's all the same service, but we get a better price and we get a refresh of all of our equipment. And yes, the Board of Ed pays 40% of the bill because it's for their phones in central office. And this contract also serves the Public Works Garage. They have a number of phones in their office that are will be part of this contract as well. Just to give you a little more information, the library is also on the same phone system, but they are on their own contract and theirs wasn't up for, I think, another 2 years, their initial contract. So they're not part of this switch because they're still under contract on their original. Ours was up. It would have rolled into another year. We stopped it from rolling because we were looking to make a change. Not really a change. We're just looking to upgrade our equipment and get the lower price.
Okay. So this gives us a lower price than new equipment, correct? It renews. Okay. Marty, we talked earlier today, but does this require a town meeting?
I hate to tell you this, I don't know yet. I contacted the town clerk's office to see, because I did not have the older amendments to the charter. One was done in '84 and the other one was done in 2003. And I got one for 2003 and it really didn't help. It didn't do much. It just changed, I believe it just changed the amounts. So I'm interested in seeing what the one in 1984 said. Because what we're talking about for the rest of the members here, if you look at special town meetings under C64E, it says any real estate lease or lease operation to which the town is a party which involves a term of excess of 5 years or an aggregate amount in excess of $100,000 requires a town meeting. And I think the issue is, does lease operation mean something other than real estate lease? Now, to my knowledge, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't ever recall, going to a special town meeting for a simple lease operation unless it was real estate.
Yeah.
And then my first reaction was it can't be what it says.
Yeah.
But I would like to at least check out, get a copy of what the amended version was in 1984 to see if it was changed or not. You know, the one that was done in, where is it here? The one that was done in 2003, it was, Where is it here? It just says almost the same thing. Any real estate lease or lease operation to which the town is a party, which involves a term in excess of 5 years or an aggregate amount in excess of, and they changed it from 75,000 to 100,000. That changed, but I don't know what the other one says. I just haven't, I got to locate it first,
Okay,
just to make sure. I mean, you know, you could always, I suppose you could, you know, the monies are there. You could always approve it subject to final determination. But I know you don't want to do this, and I don't like doing this. Subject to town council making final ruling on whether or not we need a special town meeting.
okay,
We do have the option to do 3 years instead of 5. The reason we picked 5 is because they gave us a better price.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I would rather, I don't really want to have a town meeting on this, but I'd rather this town save the additional money. And I can't put in front of me what the difference is, but it was enough for us to go, yeah, the extra 2 years would make sense.
Well, why don't you call them up and tell them that the problem is we're not sure if we have to have a special town meeting. Would he give us the same price on a 2-year option?
Yeah, I can reach out to him to see if we can get it under the 100 too.
Yeah, that way we're at a point where we're, you know, we don't have to worry about that.
I like having a little negotiating power, Marty, so I will. Gladly do that.
well, what's your pleasure? Should we approve this preliminarily, or, I mean, I don't want to, would it kill us to wait 2 weeks till the 20th?
I would rather you approve it preliminarily because that gives me a little more power behind me. I say, look, if the town attorney says, without having to go to a town meeting, we need this under 100,000, I can see if they can work with that. We usually push back before we sign things anyway, once we have approval, to see if there's any additional savings there.
Okay.
So that's not out of the realm of what we would normally do anyway.
Okay. Should we approve this up to a level of 99,999?
Certainly would cover my bases.
All right. Well, I'll put a motion on the floor that we approve the hosted VoIP agreement with Digital Back Office to a maximum amount of $99,999 for a 5-year term for communications for the town of Bethel and Board of Ed offices. Is there a second? Okay, all seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that carries. Okay, now let's, I'll put a motion on the floor that we add as item number 11, consideration of fire commission ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now that is now fire commission ordinance, discussion of fire commission ordinance is now item number 11, and we are at that point. So Paul, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. Listen, this is something that I know we've been talking about for a long time. And after receiving, understanding what's ongoing, especially with the aerial truck, this tells me, and especially as we've just sold a pumper for $7,000, there's not one of us on the Board of Selectmen who has got the ability to go out and look at a vehicle and say, is it good or is it bad? Should it be replaced? I think we need a commission of volunteers who understand fire equipment and understand the use of this equipment and the value of the equipment as well as the longevity of the equipment. It's got to be analyzed by an outside agency. And, given the history that we've done just recently with the aerial, I've got to say we've got to move in that direction. Unfortunately, we had a charter revision commission. We didn't even address that issue to any extent. And I'd hate like heck to wait another 5 years for a charter revision commission to consider a fire commission. By way of ordinance, I think, this is another method of maybe legally doing something like this. it perhaps from a Marty's point of view, it doesn't have to be permanent, but given the situations that we're in, I know both firehouses are requesting equipment. I know Stony Hill would like to have a ladder. Now we just went through this ladder issue with the Bethel Fire Department, and I'm sure there's going to be other capital equipment that these firehouses want. And I'm not in a position to evaluate what they've got. We always just listen to either the chiefs of each respective houses saying the reason for it. I think we need somebody from an outside perspective to say yay or nay. That's the reason for this.
You know what, Paul, I agree with you 100%. And I think it's time we have such a commission who looks at the town as a whole and coordinates capital purchases for with the view of the entire town in mind instead of just one department, so that we're coordinating well, the two departments work well together. They coordinate mutual aid, not only between themselves but also with the neighboring towns. But it to the point you just made, it doesn't seem like it's necessary that each department duplicate what the other one has. You know, it's like we don't need to have double of everything. And I do think that would be a proper role for a fire commission to deal with, even if we start out with just keeping the apparatus committee in place and expanding their role to all capital purchases as a review board. You know, we can kind of refine it that way. And Marty, I had a question for the town attorney. Marty, so if you could unmute. Something like this can be done by ordinance, correct? It doesn't need to be, doesn't have to be done in the charter immediately. Is that correct?
You're muted.
I know, but I can't. There you go.
There you go.
It kept showing another screen up there. Yeah, you could do this by ordinance. It's no different than Public Site and Building Committee. It's a variety of things, you know.
Okay.
Yes, it could be done by ordinance.
Okay. All right. Paul, what's your vision on this?
My vision is for us to sit down with the existing group that have done the evaluation on the aerial. And let's talk to them. We'll get some of their ideas. Because, you know, the three of us are sort of grasping a little bit as to evaluating these requests. And these guys are the experts. We're not. But, you know, their input basically will determine our decision. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, Rich, you sort of agree with that, don't you?
Oh, I do. And we've been talking about this for a long while. But this, the aerial was actually the cream of on the top of the icing of the cake, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I think as Matt had just mentioned that, you know, I think we should bring that particular committee in, have some dialogue back and forth and see how we should structure this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many members are on that committee right now?
Five.
Yeah. It would be my suggestion, no matter how many members you put on, you might want to have one member from each firehouse be a part of the committee as well. That way they have a say. They can always turn around and they can say, well, you know, gee whiz, how do we know what we're doing in our department now? You know, the problem that we have. So, I mean, at least they have a say, and it may not be a majority, that's for sure. But at least they have somebody on there and they've got a voice. They can't complain then.
Okay.
I just, like I said, one from each, that's all. So you end up with, you know, 5 members plus one from each fire department. That's it.
I have a suggestion for Rich and Paul. I had planned to have Rich Thode, the chairman of the committee, come to the next Board of Selectmen meeting with the final report from, what's it called? Shipmans, I think, the company that did the.
Sutphens.
What's the Sutphen?
Or was Shipmans, yes.
Shipmans is the repair center, which is authorized by the Sutphen company. So they have a final report that's in draft form. They have to vote on it. And then I was going to have them come and present that final report to us. At that time, I think we can further this discussion about what we want a fire commission to do. And in the meantime, we can start putting down on paper what we want, what our goals are for that, like what the roles and responsibilities would be, that we can discuss them at that meeting. How's that sound?
Good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. But I'm with you. You know, we did try to put that in the charter revision back in 2012. But there was a lot of pushback against it, but I am 100% with you. I think we need a panel of experts who can review those. They know the machines, they know the maintenance, the histories, they know what's required, they know what the town needs as a whole, and they can give us some guidance on that. So I think that this is the right time to do it.
I agree.
So thank you very much. There's nothing on the agenda. So else on the agenda, we've completed everything. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, okay. I guess I just made the motion to adjourn. Rich just seconded it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.